a laboratory that has done several fatal experiments that left the guinea pigs unrecognizable. And luckily, after a long time, I managed to get my hands on these tapes. Hey guys, welcome to another video, and before starting, in the end of this video, check the community tab. It has a message for all of you. As you may see in the start, we're going to investigate some tapes that hide a bizarre story that involves the suffering of others and creepypastas. Without further ado, let's get started. Experiment 1. It all starts with an interrogation in which Wyatt Miller, the main suspect of 3 homicides, is introduced. In the interrogation, Miller says he went camping with his friends. At the entrance, he confirms to have seen a leash and dried blood next to it, which he ignored because he didn't want the night to end like this. When the morning came, he returned home until he noticed that he received a link on his computer, and without thinking, he clicks on it, having a disturbing image that we all must already know. When he saw the image, he remembered the blood, the leash, and the noise of the dog barking that he heard that night. Soon, the interrogation is over, because Wyatt didn't seem to be inside of himself, and so he leaves the police station, and it cuts to a cartoon of a dog trying to rest, but without success, due to the noises during the night, until we are surprised by a shadow that destroys the tape, showing the last part of it, which says the following. I was having the most wonderful dream. I finally felt free. I got to be away from the people I hate. In my dream, there is no hate. Everything is peaceful and warm. I can't help but smile, smile, smile. And it all ends with an image saying, "Sweet dreams, Sadie." The most interesting thing is that at the end, it says your choice, where we are left with sharing or not sharing the image. And I think this video counts. Experiment 2. It begins with a new protagonist named Diana, where it says he prefers to sit and smoke rather than do his work, which then cuts to Mickey, who enters a house where he gets trapped and is forced to dodge bats and spiders until it ends up in a room with no exit, which seconds later, the reason why he's running away appears. Unfortunately, he ends up in a nightmare where after walking for a long time, he ends up taking his own life. And the video ends with the last letter, which in short tells Diana that he bogged the tape they needed from a shady company, and it looked real. It will have been written by someone named Silas, but knowing the story, I can assume that the lifeless person at the end was Curtis, her boss. Microbes. This is the one that fills the most holes in this story, so let's go. These tapes begin by showing us the vision of an employee who tried to escape the facility. But why? At the beginning, it shows him watching a survival guide created by the company on how to survive a disease that was being transmitted by people and even by technological devices. It tells us that the company was abandoned, and most of the experiments carried out by the laboratory went horribly wrong. That caused most of the guinea pigs to be disfigured, deformed, or even lose their memories. And everyone who has been infected by the microbes are now called Macabre, who are aggressive and manipulative creatures. Then when seeing the Macabre in the background, he tries to escape from the facility, which unfortunately ends up with him killed by a Macabre called Jeffrey Woods. Experiment 3. This tape tells a bit of Oliver's childhood, who wanted to have fun while playing a game from his childhood. At the time, the cartridges were at exaggerated price, so he ends up buying a used one, or shall we say, a cursed one. But he felt anything but happiness or fun, because during his gameplay, he was chased all the time by a statue. When Link dies 3 times, he ends up appearing in the dark cemetery, until when interacting with a grave, he simply falls into the void. With each passing day, the game would change itself, creating more save files with peculiar names like You're Next and Ben, that when entering the last one, we see a link that says the following. I've been trapped in a shell. I just want to be free. I want to rest in peace without him. While behind him was the statue. At the end, an inverted video appears, which fortunately has already been inverted, so we have this message. I took him to a ride one day, but of course, I didn't tell him. He still didn't like the idea. I miss him. I didn't mean to. He attacked me. He was trying to kill me. I don't understand why. Why would he do that to me? Experiment 4. It starts with Curtis' son, Rowan. He was talking to an unknown person. Everything starts to get more intense when the Macabre refuses to enter his house, but wants to lure him outside, which luckily, Rowan was armed. You lost your only friend, and your father. Now your will to live, you have nothing, Rowan. With this sentence, we can link the last message to this event, because Rowan's father died when he saw the film, and Rowan killed Jeffrey, who was his friend, but he was infected. This explains why Rowan wanted him to come inside his house. After that event, confirmation appears, saying that the only Macabre on the loose was Jeffrey. Experiment 5. It starts by showing reports about a program that was on television during the static to those who were infected. After the reports, more information appears about the laboratory, which inside, it had been found a liquid that had particles of a microbe that only affected children and teenagers, explaining the reason why the event happened in their childhood, until finally, the obscure program starts to play. It shows us a child who was on a boat until the boat finds a cave, which repeats the same sentence several times. Upon entering, it finds a skeleton that, according to the reports, was called Skin Taker. That when the skeleton interacts with the child, the program cuts to the last sentences.
Percy, it will be all over soon. Your phone's real. Get up. Neither are you, Percy. Not anymore.
That looked like a theater play where the child had been infected, which ends up showing several images saying that Rowan should have done that to Jeff, and he was now a murderer. Rowan was a hero because he killed the only Macabre on the loose, but at what cost?